my question is for you and Michael. You guys sort of alluded to it already, but there's sort of rumors that there may be another movie. So I'm just wondering what the chances are that the Ripley and Hicks will be the kick-ass couple that they deserve to be.
Such a nice way to put it. Thank you. Yes, there is an incredible script and written and to be directed by Neil Blomkamp, who was a fan growing up in South Africa who loved these movies so much that he broke the tapes. And when we were working together on Chappie, a movie I love, we started chatting about how the series left Ripley. And I had not wanted to do a fifth one. I didn't want to go to Earth. I thought going to Earth was like a little boring. So anyway, that whole first day we started just talking about it, and 4 months later I got a script that was so amazing and gives the fans everything they are looking for, plus innovates in a lot of ways with things that just immediately for me became part of the world. So he has work to do, I have work to do, and I'm hoping when we finish those jobs we'll circle back and start to do it. So thanks for asking.
Take another question over here. Gentleman in the fancy jacket.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Michael.
Hi.
I just want to thank you all for making probably the most badass sci-fi film ever made. And, I mean, this movie inspired me to hand paint this jacket back in 1995. Mr. Cameron, you might remember this jacket.
I've seen that jacket before, yes. Thank you for doing that.
Very cool, huh?
Wow.
So,
Miss Weaver, I'm just honored to just be here in your presence and show this to you, and just thank you for just giving such a great character. My question is for you and Mr. Cameron. When you did the Alien Queen toe-to-toe on the power loader, how long did that take, and what was was it really hard? Could you elaborate on some of that?
You told me you felt like you were a horse going around a circle in that suit. You would practice during lunch breaks,
Well, yes,
right?
I did. I had a nice fellow named John, rather big fellow, who was hidden behind me in the suit. And at lunchtime, we would go up, and with John Richardson, we would both get in. He'd get in first, and I'd get in front of him. And then we kind of walk around this circle, kind of almost like a horse on a lead. And sometimes we'd go to...
lunging the actors.
Yes, exactly. We always do better after lunging. But sometimes we'd go too fast, and we were like going kind of, and I'd go, oh, this is interesting. Is this part of what I'm supposed to do? Anyway, I don't think it was. But luckily, we didn't have to do that fighting the Queen. I don't know how long it took. It felt like
I'm sure it seemed like forever to you, but my memory of it is like a day and a half or something. I think we shot it pretty fast once we got it all working. There are some miniatures in it, yeah, as well. There's a miniature Queen and power loader as well, but the majority of it is full size. And we had two ways of rigging it. We could hang it from wires above the power suit, or it was on a kind of pole that was into the back, and we used both techniques. And we moved the camera around a lot too to get it to look a little livelier and more dynamic. But it was John and Sigourney had to work together, and the idea was it was a little bit like when a dad walks a small child on his feet, that kind of thing, dance together, and so they had to dance together.
I thought it was several days.
See, the actors always think it's longer than it really is.
Seemed like
on my
forever.
films. It seems like an eternity.
So there's a really interesting, unique question here. but I don't think I can ask it. I'm going to ask the guy who has the question. Chris Naylor, are you out there, Chris? If so, skip ahead and come to the microphone, please.
Hey, how you doing, Anthony, the gang? Thanks for having me. I'll make it short and sweet. I didn't know I was going to get called, but this movie means so much to me, from my childhood to my adulthood. It was the movie that moved me out to Los Angeles to where I met my girlfriend, and we see it every time it's on a big screen in LA. They do it so many times, and everyone's probably seen it here, so I'm doing something really bad here, and I'm asking her to marry me right in front of everybody. Hey. Brittany, if you could take off and nuke the site from orbit with me, that'd be great.
I think that's a yes.
We want to hear the yes out loud.
Let's hear the yes.
Yes.
Jim,
Thank you.
Jim is a sea captain. I think he can marry you here on the spot.
Are we all coming to the wedding, though? You're going to invite us, right?
Everybody.
And the Queen.
Everybody.
Everybody, except for Burke.
But did you notice they put me by him?
Thank you.
Like he tried to kill me.
May you be happy and have many spawn.
Congratulations, guys. Let's hear it for Chris. New fiance. Well, here's a question from NavGirl02. I think this is really cool because it's not going to be the answer you expect. But for Jim and Gail, how many people did it take to puppet the alien queen when she was running?
That's actually a good question. I don't know. There was a guy on the feet. I wasn't there when.
No,
they
but it's a puppet.
Yeah,
It's
you're
a
talking
small-
about the miniature.
The miniature, yeah.
Well, the miniature was about 3 feet tall, and that was done by the model unit. And I just looked at the dailies. But my memory of it is that there were 5 guys on the controls of the cables, and there were a couple of guys, maybe 2 separate guys, operating the feet.
That's more than I would have expected on it.
You know, it's the nature of the effects on that film is that we hit a lot with smoke and steam and strobe lights and all that. And I guarantee you, one frame after the part that was used and one frame before the part that was used sucked completely. You know, it wasn't like CG. We didn't have that stuff back then.
And here's another good one, and I'll take another at the mic. It's from VTSDCC. Apparently, it's Jon Snow. That's his avatar. But can you talk about casting Paul, who's known as a funny guy, as a comedian, in the role of this heavy Burke? Why did you go for somebody? Comedians aren't known for being angry or self-hating, right? So what made you say you wanted a comedian in that part?
Yeah, I think you got. Paul and I were talking about this before, but it was a certain time in his career he hadn't done Mad About You yet, and you were doing stand-up, I think, at the time. You had done some dramatic roles and some comedic roles, but he hadn't defined himself as the kind of world-class, funny actor that he is. So we just responded to what we saw at the audition, which was a guy who was funny, charming, believable, sympathetic, charismatic, you know. And now, you know, we all know better, but...
I remember a long period after I had this very exciting audition and went in. I mean, exciting to me that I got to meet Jim and go in. And then it seemed like it was like months, 4 months, because you had to go to England and you have to look at every British actor and cross them off the list before they say, we're going with this guy. So I remember for about a month I was waiting for the call, and then I said, I guess that ship has sailed. And then finally went, you're going. And went, really?
It's true. We had to see every American actor living and working in England at the time.
Everyone.
Every single one. And Gail has had 500 pages of notes on all these actors that we saw. Even though we already knew we wanted Paul.
And who wouldn't, really? You know what I'm saying?
Like somebody could have told you, right?
Let's take a question from the Space Marine over here. Yes, sir.
All right, Colonial Marines roll. Yeah! My question is, Aliens was the last movie I saw before going in boot camp back in '86. summer of '86, and it was the first one I wanted to see when I got out. And I'll show it to my kids' friends who haven't seen it, and they still jump and scream at all the appropriate times. Are any of you guys surprised how well it's held up over 30 years? I mean, even the special effects, yeah, no CGI, but I mean, like people have said, you could play it in a movie theater today, and I think it would still be a blockbuster.
And it is playing today, as I said, at United Artists. So
Playing tonight.
line up for the free movie.
I don't know. I think we're all pleased.
Hey, wait. I got an answer for that one. Were we surprised? I remember seeing it at Fox Studios with Gail, and all of us were there, actually. And we Jim and I stepped out onto the porch. And he said, "What'd you think?" And I went, I have no words for it. I mean, I really don't. And I'll write you a letter. I'm going to write you a letter. And he thought I didn't like it.
Well, you never wrote
the
the letter.
truth was, I had never seen a movie like that. And his ability to make this film on so many levels, because I'd been there all the time with, and it was like, I was without words. I couldn't come up with the, I'm not a guy who gives you, oh, that was great, and that's a blow off. And, I mean, it was phenomenal. I left the theater shaking. It was so good. And I was too lazy to write that letter. And time went by, but I'll always feel guilty about that. It's
Never too late, Lance.
The what?
You can write that letter.
I will write it now.
Have you ever put it together that you never got called for one of my other films after that?
I know. I noticed that. I'm
kidding. I'm kidding. I'd work with Lance anytime. He's fantastic, and he's a good friend.
But no, it's
I
so
think.
astounding.
You know what? If I can just also throw in, seeing that clip, everyone talks about Aliens, and it is such a great film, and such an action film and suspense. And you look at that scene, what is it, like 3 minutes?
Yeah.
And it's this big. It's just faces and characters. So there's no action, but it's so rich on every level. And that's a huge part of why this movie works. That it's unbelievable action and horror and all that. But at the core were these characters that are so beautifully written, and it plays at the smallest level, which is always a nice reminder. You don't need all that to grab people. Sometimes the smallest universe will be just as compelling. And with that, I rest my case.
I also think that when I read the script, I was an English major in college, so when I read the script, I was just another English major out there. I was so, I'd read a lot of scripts by then, and I was so struck by the brilliance and confidence of the structure. And when a movie really has a beginning and a middle and an end that have the right build, also populated by all these really wonderful characters being thrown together and so many worlds meeting up in this world. It's almost like the movie turned out even better than the script. And I don't know what themes you wanted to express and everything else, but it seemed so deep and so strong. And so although I think we're all surprised to be here 30 years later, on a creative level, I'm not surprised because I saw it as soon as I started reading it. And when Jim finally was kind enough when we met months later to say, "Do you have any notes?" I think I probably did not because I was just...
She had lots of notes.
I don't remember that.
Actually, Gail's such a good producer that she wrote it into every actor's contract that they show up for the 30th anniversary. Actually, nobody here really likes each other.
I remember seeing the film for the first time, and we we were designated to watch the film, and following day, I think, that evening, or I think it was the following day, and they were showing it to the press. And of course, all the actors wanted to go in and watch it with the press, and Jim, for whatever reasons, I'm sure he had a good one, he usually does, said, no, this is for the press. You guys can't can't be in on this one. So Bill and I, we climbed up and we went into the projection room. And we watched the movie from the projector room with the guy who was running the film. And I'll never forget, after the film ended, we were so excited, and Bill sang, "It's a roller coaster to hell, man!"
I think we have time for one more question. I hope it's a good one. Make it really good, because you're the last one.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of you for what you put together 30 years ago. Sitting here in Hall H today with my own now grown kids, Sigourney, you're the original Wonder Woman. Your fierceness, what you put together, I mean, having watched that panel earlier today and then the Star Trek panel and seeing androids, on TV, which goes all the way back to what you put on screen. My question to you, James, and to the cast, your dialogue was amazing, and it was very natural, and it seemed as if you were kind of just having conversations with each other. You're such a particular writer, Mr. Cameron, but how much was ad-libbed all the way to the "get away from her, you bitch," line? How much of that was fluid from day to day as you were working on the movie? Thank you.
Not much.
I was very by the books. Like, I said exactly what was there. And there was one time when James, you were like, we were in the water and you were on top. And I was supposed to pretend like you were Ripley. And you said to me once, we were rolling, and you said, "When I say X, Y, Z, you say your line." So I said, "Oh, okay." So we're standing there and rolling. You came over and you said like ABC.
Oh, I got the line wrong.
Yeah, and you were like, "Cut, Carrie, what happened?" And I said, "Well, you were supposed to say blah, 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 blah." And you said blah, 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 blah. I mean, looking back, I'm really sorry. I'm kind of...
See, we both have a lot we have to get off our chest. This has been very therapeutic for all of us.
Traumatized.
We didn't ad-lib a lot, but we did a lot of preparation that was kind of group bonding, with the military training that you guys did, and to get everybody to think and act like a squad. There are some fun ad-libs in it, and like the thing with the knife, things that we made up on the set. And Bill, like part of Bill's rant was written, and part of it he made up, and I think Bill knows when to get in a zinger here and there. So. Yeah, it's a collaborative process for sure.